Hello and welcome. Welcome back to Making It with Dee. I'm Dee, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you some of my makes that happened in February. So this is a February update. I know by the time this video goes out it'll probably already be March, but that's okay. So I'm going to be sharing with you all of my February makes, the progress I've made, and I trust you'll enjoy the video. Let's get started. I'll start with what I'm wearing. Today's cropped jumper. Let me tell you the details of this baby. And it is to be found. Tell you exactly what this jumper. This is a Rowan pattern called Charisma, and the designer is Martin Story. And I did not use the prescribed wool or yarn. I used what I had on hand, and I finished this jumper not in February. Please, let's not get this twisted. This jumper I finished way back, possibly 3 years ago, when I was experimenting with knitting and when I had no clue about fiber. I had no clue about quality of fiber. I just took what I thought looked good and no clue about gauge, nothing. I was a beginner knitter, and I thought I'd like to try a pattern that looks, you know, okay, and I thought I could do it, and I did it. So the original pattern is in a plain color, beautiful pink. It's not exactly a bright pink. It's a very it's baby pink, and I'll tell you the name of it. I need to put my glasses on, I can't see. I am a blind woman. So the yarn is called Patina, and this pattern is meant to be knit in this Patina yarn, and the pattern comes in 4 sizes, and I just thought it was a lovely pattern, and it was free patterns is my jam. So I took it on, and I actually quite like this. I ran out of the yarn that I used up until this point, so it was knit bottom up with 3.75mm knitting needles, and then I had to go and find a yarn that I thought would just flow into it. Now if I hadn't told you that I had used different yarn, you would never have guessed, right? Right? No, right. Okay, so up until this point here is where I changed yarn, because I ran out. So there's that. I do love the pattern. I'm not one to do things twice, so I can't say that I'll not do it again, because I like this one so much, and it's okay to have one of a kind. Like, for me, in any case, I don't like to do 2 of the same. Even if it is different colors, I have to really love something a lot for me to do something like that. But in any case, so that's what I'm wearing, and I thought I'd share a little bit today about color work that I've done in the past when I was very ignorant about, as I said before, yarn, fibers, whatever, gauge, blocking, and all of those things. All I knew was you needed wool and a certain amount of wool. Didn't know that very well either, because I could never gauge how much wool I needed for a pattern, even though I checked on the pattern, and if it says 6 skeins of 100 grams, then I would make sure that I had 6 skeins of 100 grams, but of course not all 100 grams are equal. So I learned, not very quickly, but I learned. So I tried to do some color work in the past, and for me color work meant, you know, striping things, and I could do that. I could, you know, change color I could do stripes. And so I thought I was looking at a scrap yarn project, and I came across this caramel, which is basically a blanket style cardigan. And the designer for this, it's a free pattern on Ravelry. The designer is called, now please let me find it, and I'm not going to find it now. Let's do the glasses thing again, eh? Because I'm so blind. I have not been very good with Ravelry. I'm still learning how to use it, so I am not very sharp with it, but I will tell you, Isabel Kramer is the designer of this caramel jumper that I'm showing you on screen. It was the pattern, and I used scrap yarn to create my caramel cardie, my blanket cardie, and I do think it came out quite nice. Look at that, look at that. So there is all the little stripes I created with different colored yarn, and I just kind of played around with how to do the striping. This thing is it took me a really long time because it became a very big project, and it was all on one set of needles. I didn't own, you know, the cables. I didn't even know you could do that when I was knitting this. So I knitted it on fixed circular needles, and I didn't have a long enough. I think I had 100 centimeters maybe was the longest one I had. And so yeah, it took, look how wide this thing is. So all of these stitches had to be on the needles, and I will insert pictures of me wearing it, because I actually this has become like the jumper that I reach for. I throw it over, and I wear it at home. I hardly ever wore it out, I don't think. I wasn't confident enough in my skills, but actually it's not too bad. I'm quite proud of it. So this was my attempt at stripes, and I don't think I did too shabby of a job. I used lots of mixed yarn in this, so there's different weights of yarn in here as well. The pattern calls for DK or 8-ply yarn. I don't think I did anything like that, and it's a plain stockinette stitch, so that wasn't hard to do. I love the way the sleeves, like the details on the sleeves here that you can see. I did that, and I didn't even know I was doing that, right? I was just following the pattern. So yeah, I can do that. I can do stripes. It intrigued me. I wanted to do more color work, because then I learned about stranded color work, and this was the striped one. And then there's mosaic color work, and I really wanted to try. So I tried something stranded as well. Didn't turn out as good, but it's okay. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the pattern. I was going to share it with you guys, but I just couldn't find it. I had it on my computer, and it's gone. So as you can see, look at all these ruffles here. At this stage, I was already aware of how to block, and I blocked this. It's a 3/4 sleeve with a little, you know, the color changes with the ribbing is all, there's no ribbing. Oh, there is ribbing at the bottom. There's ribbing at the bottom, but the ribbing at the bottom is not the color here, not the same as this. So this pink here is what I used on the yoke. So this was my first time doing something with a yoke, and of course I think I was okay. I kind of learned how to read charts off of this one as well, and I was able to do charts with cable patterns before, but I never, you know, went into this. So I did this. I read the chart and I worked off a chart because the pattern was charted mostly. and I think it turned out okay. The yoke part turned out okay, but I don't think my floats were as loose as they were meant to be, so that's why there's quite a bit of pleating in the front here. So I learned how to carry my floats. I mean, I thought that I was doing a good job, but clearly I don't know, I messed up, and so this is not something that I wear, and I am loath to say that I might frog this and use the yarn for something else. It is acrylic, it's not really expensive yarn or anything, which is most of my things have been done in acrylic yarns because it was what I could afford, and I didn't think I was skilled enough to try an expensive yarn. And I also just didn't see the point. To me, I felt like I am doing this craft to experiment, and because I enjoy doing things like this, I enjoy creating things, but if it's gonna cost me more than it's worth, I can't do it. I just can't do it, can't justify it. So there's that. So I would like to also now, so that's the color work I've done in the past, and like I said before, I knew anything about, you know, I'm just going to turn this fan off because it's making a lot of noise. And so I really wanted to get into this mosaic knitting as well, because I kind of thought if I could do stripes and I could do stranded, I'd like to learn to do mosaic as well. And so I did try, I attempted, and it's not finished, so it'll be in the whip section of this video. I will share with you my mosaic color work that I've done. Next I'm going to talk about my finished projects. I have been working on, for the last month of February, I have been working on my shadow short sleeve top, and if you've seen my previous video you will know this pattern from my book. Now the shadow part is a Moda Vera shadow. It's the brand of the yarn, and it's an acrylic yarn. It's 60% acrylic and 40% cotton. And so I thought, I had purchased cotton yarn a while back, cotton and nylon blend, and I thought I would like to knit something that is going to be that I could be able to wear in spring, summer, because I thought, you know, cotton would be lightish. Turns out the weight of this cotton yarn that I have is a lot thicker than the one in the pattern, and I thought, I'm going to do it in any case. I didn't think to come down in size of knitting needles just to make it a little bit more, and I didn't gauge swatch. I just thought I'm going to knit up from the yarn that I have. I am not going to be purchasing yarn until I finished working up all the bits that I have in stash. I haven't yet shared my stash, so my full stash. I will share that in the future as soon as I've finished everything that I have on my needles currently. I'm also learning that having more than one whip at a time is probably not the best thing for me to do. And so I'm trying to work up all of my whips, finish it all up, you know, progressively. And because everything else just takes too much time. You only work a little bit on the one thing and a little bit on the other thing. Nothing seems to get done, and I don't like that sense of not accomplishing things. So my shadow short sleeve top is here. It's finished. This is her. Now she has not been blocked. She will be blocked tonight, but I finished her and I thought I would share. So this is, I only did it in one color. The yarn that is recommended is a self-striping yarn, the cotton, acrylic cotton blend that's recommended in the book. But I had cotton nylon and I made it out of that. It looks huge, but I'm telling you, it fits nice. I'll show you. I will share a little video. There. So as you can see, I'm surprised that it came out looking as good as it does. The pattern, I don't want to say it wasn't very well written. I'm gonna say it wasn't very well written. There are some errors in the pattern. I was off with my stitch count. It was so bad because this lace yoke, I was off with the stitch counts like all the time, and so I had to just make it work. And I'm not that skilled, but I made it work. I made it work, and you can't tell that I was not on pattern for the entire time. So it was only, I guess, by the time I got to, so it's bottom up, it's knit bottom up, by the time I got to here. So the two, let me explain better than that, I'm sorry. There's little garter stitch ribbing at the bottom. It's just not ribbing, it's garter stitch border at the bottom and at the cuffs of the sleeves, and also the neckline, which looks kind of pretty when it's on because of the little eyelet stitches that the yoke created here. But it's knitted mostly in stockinette stitch up until the yoke, and separately. So you knit the front and the back separately, and then you do the sleeves, the stockinette and the sleeves separately, and then you join it all together in the round. So then you've got these 4 pieces attached in the round, and then you knit the yoke. And so yeah, the yoke had, as you can imagine, with the different lace stitching stitch patterns, kind of comes like in rows of, I can't remember how many rows these blocks were, but it was I was off like, and then I just had to keep at it and keep it the same, because I probably had like 7 less stitches than I was supposed to have, and then I'd have to work it out so that I end up on the same side, and that side was on the sleeve because that's where I started. But you can't, I can't even pick up where that was now. I can't see it on the jumper. So that must have worked out really well. And when I got to the last bit, so up to the top here, it kind of gives the wrong instruction when I get to when you do this bits. It said, say for example, it was supposed to be knit 3. The pattern said knit 4. And I looked at it in my count and I thought, if I knit 4, I'm going to mess up the entire thing. It's not going to look right. And so I knitted 3 and it worked, thankfully. So for a beginner, it's not cool to have a pattern that's not written right. I just, no, it was very stressful because I just didn't want to go back or pull anything out, rip back to any point in this lace pattern. It was just that tricky. I had to do it maybe twice. I had to knit backwards 2 rows because I made a mistake on one point and it was off. It wasn't aligned. And I thought, oh, I did something wrong here, and then I had to go back. But I was not about to rip anything out, rip back to anywhere. And so yeah, very happy with the end result, and as you'll see in the pictures, I'm quite happy with it. And so that's one of my raglan. I had to do what do you call it, short rows. I had to do short rows. It was my first experience, I think, with short rows. I could have had to do short rows with that stripy caramel blanket cardigan. I don't remember. I just followed the pattern and learned how to do it. So at that point in time, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was called. I just followed the pattern, and so there's that. And now, if you'll remember, if you've watched my previous videos, if you haven't, let me introduce you to my Mosaic crochet blanket. It is finished. Took a long time, but it is finished. It's not a very big blanket. And as you can see, I still have the ends hanging out there. And this blanket was knitted, it was crocheted, sorry, I think with a size 9mm hook. And I used 2 different plies of yarn, acrylic yarns. The one is 12 ply, which is the colourful one, and the other one is 8 ply. So it's a little bit thinner, but it's quite, I think it looks nice. I had the colours, and I thought, I've got these massive balls of yarn, 200 gram balls, and I wanted to use it up. I didn't want to waste the yarn just because it was acrylic, and I thought it's pretty good for a blanket. So my son has gone to uni, and he's staying in the residence halls at the university, and I decided I'm going to make him a little blanket that he can either throw over his shoulders when he's studying at night, or over his lap if he's cold. And then when I kind of got fed up of doing it, I was so tired of it, I decided I'll only do 10 blocks down, and that'll be it. It wasn't going to go any bigger than that. Now what's going to make it slightly bigger is probably if I block it, I'll stretch it, but I'm going to add a border. I'm going to add a border all the way around it, all 4 sides. I'm going to add a navy border, and I'll probably do maybe 4 or 5 rows of double crochet stitches all the way around, and then I'll block it, and I'll do a double border, so it'll sandwich the loose threads, so that I don't have to wind I won't have to wind it, is that the word? I can't remember. I don't have to, whatever that word is, with the loose ends, because there's so many. So if I'll do my border on the one side, and because the yarn is also thinner, because it's an 8 ply, it'll be heavier if I double it. So I'm going to do it like this, sandwich my little tails all the way in around, and do a nice little border, and then I'm going to block it, and then it will be ready. So, and I'm calling it his prayer blanket, because Mama's going to pray over this blanket so that my baby boy can succeed in his studies. That's the plan. So this is my son's prayer blanket. I'm calling it that. And so that's my second and final finished object for this video. Now let me talk to you a little bit about my Mosaic knitting project. I have started the pressed flowers shawl. It was a purchase that I made. I bought the pattern. Oh, by the way, this is a free pattern on YouTube. It was a YouTube tutorial that I followed and made up my own pattern. There is no border that comes with this pattern, but I will link the other pattern or the other tutorial that I'm using for the border, if anybody's interested in creating a little blanket. As easy as that. I learned how to read a chart for Mosaic crochet, and so now I'm doing Mosaic knitting for my pressed flowers shawl. And this is kind of as far as I've come with this shawl. It is not a priority knit for me, but as I said to you before, I'm going to try and get everything with my needles before I start new projects. So it's going to become a priority knit for me. So I think it looks pretty cool. I love the autumn colors because I live in New Zealand. We're going into autumn. We're pretty much entered autumn now. It's March. We still have quite warm weather. This yarn is quite stiff, and I don't know, you people call it rustic. Possibly very, very scratchy. But after blocking, I'm assuming it's going to soften, because I have knitted a jumper with it. It's softened quite a bit, but not enough for my young son to wear the jumper. He's very finicky with scratchy clothes. But because this is a shawl that's going to go over my clothing, I don't think I'm going to have a problem wearing it. and so it'll probably drape a little bit better as well once it's blocked, because this yarn is, like I said, it's quite scratchy. So I think I've done an okay job so far on my, I've started my second repeat of the pattern, and you have to repeat it 4 times before it's finished. So I'm really in the early stages of this shawl. I'm loving it. This yarn that I have is, I want to say was gifted to me, but I kind of earned it. I made some water balloons. I crocheted some water balloons at a school I was working at for the kids to use during summer, and so the school had a stash of yarn donated to them, and I was allowed to take to help myself, and so this is the yarn I'm dealing with, from Wild Earth Yarns is where I got it, is where the donation came from, so that's what I'm using. I don't know anything about the composition of this yarn. All I know is it's rough and I probably wouldn't have bought it if I had the option, because I don't know anything about it. But so this is my pressed flower shawl, my work in progress, my one whip, and I have another whip that I want to share, which is my long line cardie. So I have started doing the front sides of this long line cardie. I finished the back. This is the back. It's completed. There's no shaping, it's just a square. It's just a square, a rectangle basically, and there's ribbing at the bottom, and I'm using a I think it's called Daisy Motivera yarn, which has mohair, acrylic mix blend in here, and I love it. I especially love how it looks at night, because I love the glitter. It's got glitter as well in it. So I finished the back, and I am now on to the 2 front sides, which I decided to cast on together on the same set of needles. So I have done this much this much to the sides. I still have, maybe it needs to be 49 centimeters. I don't know how far I've come yet, but this is definitely not, possibly halfway. This is possibly halfway before I need to do some decreases. It's a very, very simple pattern, straightforward as, and stockinette stitch, so mindless knitting. You just knit, and because there's no shaping, it makes it even easier to knit. So I'll just show you. I have the pattern here in the same book that I used to knit my shadow tee. This is it here. It's in red, but they also use the same yarn, but it's in red, so they've got glitter in this mohair and acrylic blend as well. This is the yarn they used. It was actually recommended and I didn't know it. I got the yarn because I liked it, and then it was a happy accident that I found this pattern that asks for this exact yarn, so that made me very happy. There's a picture of a woman wearing the jumper, the cardie I mean, this red one here. So it looks like the sleeves, oh no, she's pulled them up. I was going to say it might be 3/4, but it's not, so there we go. So that's my other whip, and then I started a new project, and this is where I learned that having too many whips is not a good thing. So I have a grandniece who is 1 year old today, and she's not in New Zealand with me. She lives in South Africa, and I had planned to knit her a little, or crochet a little rag doll. And I saw these amazing patterns, oh my goodness, of the most beautiful dolls, and I thought I could do one for her and send it home. Obviously I didn't have time to do it before her birthday, but it will be something that she can potentially carry with her for a long time, is the hope. So I got so excited, I purchased the pattern on Ravelry, and I'll share the Ravelry page on the screen with you. And so far I have created so I've crocheted like a skull cap, so that's how the pattern starts off. You crochet the skull cap, which is in here. I don't know if you can see because it's black on black. Crochet the skull cap, and then you attach the hair to it. So you just basically hook the hair in and put it on. Okay, so I wasn't going to stop there because this looks amazing, and I didn't know I had the skills to do something like this. So I decided to do the head as well because I was so eager. And so I crocheted the head, and I had these, I purchased these eyes ages ago when I was crocheting some other animals, Amigurumi stuff. And guys, look at that. She's almost already looking like a girl. I mean, right? She's almost already looking like a girl, and I love it. And so I will share with you which girl I am making, and on the side here, and the pattern that I'm following. Obviously I'm doing my own thing with color. I'm using scrap yarns, but I'm also changing color, so the hair on the original pattern is not black, but I did mine black, and I'm potentially trying, I'll probably do some braiding in it, but that's not for now. So this is my other whip. It's a crochet whip, and I am very excited to get to this doll and finish it. But I have all these other projects that I need to finish first before I can do this. So I'm putting this aside, and I am restraining myself from working on it until I have at least finished my long line cardi, which is going to be my next priority. So this is my next priority to finish after I've done my borders on the blanket, and then I will finish this long line cardigan, and then I will continue in the meantime to also work on my pressed flowers knitting. I don't have any sewing to share today. I haven't been doing any sewing. I have had an amazing February, super busy, getting everything sorted for my boy going to uni, and so I didn't really have time. I've got a job as well, so I do have things to do in order to earn my money to be able to afford this hobby. The one acquisition I might like to share with you guys, when I'm talking about acquisitions, I went on Marketplace, and yeah, I shouldn't have done it, but I did. I purchased some yarn, and it's not even fantastic yarn, but it's okay. I bought this Lion brand homespun stripes cakes. Okay, and this is 100% acrylic, I believe. No, 98% acrylic and 2% other fiber. So 100% acrylic and 2% other fiber. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this. Maybe a shawl, I don't know. I'm beginning to like the idea of knitting my own shawls. I do love wearing shawls, and it's practical for me to wear shawls because the weather here and the hormonal changes my body's going through, it's not always practical to be wearing a jumper or a jacket, and a shawl is something I can throw on and then just throw off if I'm getting too hot. So So I have about, so I'm just checking my stash here, sorry. I've got 4 skeins of this colour. I lie, 2 skeins of this colour, and then 4 skeins with this colour. They're not very different. They are quite different. This one's got more blue and this one's got more purple and pink in it. So 4 of this and 2 of this, and I paid $25 for it, which isn't very much. And with the marketplace purchase came some crochet hooks, and just thrown in there, and some stitch markers as well, also thrown in for 25 bucks. I mean, this could be a kit that I could start somebody off with, and I'm planning to maybe start my sister off in crocheting, so maybe I can give her something when I go and see her in Perth. And then I thought, when I saw these progress keepers that people have on their work, I thought to myself, oh, they look so pretty. They actually looked to me like earrings, hooks, earring hooks, and then just with a little jewelry at the bottom. So I thought, you know what, I can probably make my own. And I went to the $2 store, because it doesn't have to be expensive, and I bought myself a bag of little earring hooks. And then I bought myself a little box, a jewelry set box of just beads, and it's got the little wire for the beads to attach to as well in there. So next time you see me, I will be sporting some awesome progress keepers that I will have made myself. I need to figure out how to make them. I don't think it'll be too hard, but yeah, I'm going to try and do that and create my own progress keepers, and that way I don't have to pay anybody on Etsy to sell me these, and with delivery and all of that stuff. I think I'm good. I think I can make it myself. So there's that. And that's the other acquisition. So I think that is pretty much all for today's video. I'm not going to keep you any longer than I need to. I think this video is already pretty long. It was not the intention. But this is my February update, and so I will see you in March. Okay, hopefully I will have had a chance to finish all of my whips and be able to sport a beautiful ragdoll as well. That would be so exciting. So if you stuck it out this far, I thank you, and I also appreciate all my new subscribers. I'd like to see that grow, so if you do like this kind of content, I do sewing as well, but for this time I haven't done any sewing. There might be some coming up in March. I've just acquired some new gingham fabric, which I will share in my next video. And so I look forward to seeing you in that next video. Bye now.